Hey everybody, uh, I'm back with another TV show review, and to continue on with more Iron Man coverage, I am covering, well, at least I will go over a lot of these, but it's been years. But I'm covering Marvel's anime with a collaboration with Madhouse Corporation, who done a lot of anime work. Uh, Iron Man, which and like when you watch this, is like completely like in like excellent anime design, and they did this as well as because each one is just like a season adventure, which is like a great idea. You tell enough of the story that you don't need to hash it out longer than it has to. 12 episodes. Pretty sure each one had 12 episodes, but they had like four different heroes. First was Iron Man, then Wolverine, then they did one with the X-Men, and then the final one was Blade. And I think they can bring this kind of series back because it's like, oh my god, can you you can do like one-off adventure seasons with a plethora of uh, Marvel characters. And I had to find this on Amazon Prime because as good as Disney Plus is, they don't have everything Marvel and Disney related, which makes no sense. If you own the property, whoever's running Disney Plus, get it and put on the thing instead of just constantly trying to make backdoor pilots or constant new shows after every 6 months when you just put one out and it's like you know I love She-Hulk, I love Kenobi series, but like you run them back to back, like at this point you don't give people time to like let the stuff marinate and enjoy it for what it was. It's like, you know me personally, I think a lot of people would agree, if you had two Disney Plus original content, or at least like a handful coming down the pipeline, give it at least two per year, like one in the beginning of the year and the other at the end, so that way people can enjoy it and let it marinate for a while, review it, critics and hash it out, blase blase blase, until the next one comes about, and repeat the process. And let us enjoy Disney Plus for what it is. Put House of Mouse on there, Buzz Lightyear, a Star Command TV series on there, Marvel's anime, put them all on there so everybody can enjoy this. Because yeah, I mean, you can make a Marvel's, yeah, they all go to Japan for some reason for an adventure. Like you can do one with Peter Parker and Spider-Man. It's like, you know, they on the job for the Daily Bugle go to Japan and deal with criminals that you rarely see, get the time to shine. Because like in this, uh, you get you know reintroduced to this criminal organization called the Zodiac, which is kind of like a terrorist organization with different leaders depending on, like, they kind of rotate the leaders depending on the situation. And it's only 12 members. They only have to have 12 members with maybe like henchmen, sure, but uh, in this, they all have like kind of mech suits. And I think that's kind of like a preferred method if you want to have like the Zodiac as like a viable threat. Because in the olden days, it is guys in like animal mask, and it's like, that's kind of why they probably wasn't seen as like a viable big name enemy. But in this, they are like a serious freaking threat. And uh, in like each one, it's like, okay, maybe if they have one with Spider-Man, have somebody like the Shocker or you know, they did a lot with Doctor Octopus at this point, but you know, they only did like one thing with Mister Negative, and it was in a video game. I think Mister Negative is Chinese. You can still probably do something with him, uh, or even like Captain Marvel, but she's usually space related. Um, who else? Daredevil. I think Daredevil makes sense. Usually dealing with the hand half the time. Uh, but yeah, you catch my drift. I mean, it's like leave a comments below. Let me know, what Marvel character you would think will have like a great idea to put in Japan for an adventure, and what low tier enemy you think like will be like a viable enemy to deal with. But yeah, Iron Man goes to Japan to not only announce his retirement as Iron Man, even though in this iteration he's only been Iron Man for like 5 or 6 years, and that's not long enough. You already know like the Avengers, I believe at this point, because you get like a cameo with Wolverine in this, which I dug. Voice, matter of fact, the voices for Wolverine and Iron Man in this is the same guys who were the brothers in the Heroes TV series, uh, which was pretty cool. The guy who only has the ability to fly voices Iron Man, while the guy who plays his brother, who has the ability to mimic other powers, he plays Wolverine. And he voices him in his solo adventure after the Iron Man adventure was over. But they brought in Steve Blum for Wolverine during the X-Men Japanese adventure. Which, by the way, in that they bring in the UFOs, who are X-Men, rogue part of the X-Men Rose Gallery, who rarely get time to shine, as because they're always about like Bolivar Trask and Senator Kelly and all these like uh, Sentinels and like Magneto. It's like the same people rotations. Hell, like even like give Mr. Sinister some time to shine at the very least. But the UFOs, very low tier kind of X-Men thugs. But I thought that was pretty dope. I can't imagine. I can't begin to articulate. Like I'm impressed. Like I still retain certain moments from this series of shows. But anyway, Stark goes to Japan to announce his like retirement as Iron Man, but also bring in two new inventions. One being the perpetual renewable energy of the arc reactor that he wants to showcase and turn on for Japan for renewable clean energy. But also, like, even though he's retiring as Iron Man, the world will still need a Iron Man, so it just won't be him. So he has like a newer model called Dio that he will like screen these three new pilots to see like which one can like pick up the slack, or who has the gumption to pick up the slack from him. But then there's like he meets these two new women, because Pepper Potts is back in America. You see her from time to time, but it doesn't seem like they're like a thing at this point. But he has a romantic fling going on with Dr. Tanaka, who works with him on the science front, while this discount Lois Lane a woman who clearly has like a crush on him at the very least, Nanami, who has like a camera partner, the discount Jimmy Olsen, who every once in a while you see him, even though he's a decent character, every time you see him, he's always got some food in his mouth, and that's the joke. They even got like a discount J. Jonah Jameson, of a boss. who's like designed in a way that looks like one of those pervy, creepy, rapey hentai old dudes that you see in the hentai porn. That's what he kind of looks like to me. And uh, so the Dio armor gets hacked and taken by an unforeseen force, while Tony is getting resuited in his Iron Man suit. He's not only facing off against these Zodiac people, but also a huge return from beyond the grave, Ho Yinsen, who thought was dead from the time when he and Tony was in that cave captured by terrorists. And you see in like uh, uh, a single episode where he was rescued by this woman who I guess was traveling or something, and she came across him. Like, from many iterations of this origin story of Iron Man and his time in the cave captured by terrorists, it's usually remote, where no just random people just happen to pawn it like that. But this woman just happened to pawn this cave, sees this guy, apparently he was half dead, even though, his vital signs appeared, they didn't have like that kind of level of like HUD in the Mark 1 armor. But it's like, for all intents and purposes, this dude's dead, but he's still kicking for some reason. And he established like a new life with this woman who he grew to have feelings, but she is betrothed to another who, luckily, they didn't go into this whole, he's like a prick and he's trying to defend her honor and shouldn't marry this guy because he's no good for, he's a decent guy. You don't need to get into all love triangle, Hallmark Channel BS. But he lived peacefully in this village until these helicopters sound these missiles laying waste the whole entire area, which had the Stark insignia on the side of the choppers. Yinsen somehow is a sole survivor, because comics, and this faceless dude who, I'm not gonna bury the lead here, is like one of the government officials in Japan who orchestrated and brainwashed Yinsen to believing that Tony Stark is back to his old ways, and he made this, more advanced suit of armor that you guys built in the cave, and give this false propaganda like he's in these areas laying waste with no accountability. And it's like, you didn't do your own research. You brainwashed you, was led to believe that, oh, Tony Stark is back to his old ways, he didn't learn nothing, blah 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 blah. But while you're, going in with these terrorists who, yeah, you're grief stricken, like the people that you care about or grew to care about is dead. Once again, after you already lost your family to these other terrorists, now once again, what you thought you can start over, it's been taken away from you again. So yeah, sure, you're rightly pissed, but you don't give Tony like a benefit of the fucking doubt and do your own research, look up his time saving people, helping the Avengers and stuff like that. Like, you didn't do none of that. You just like, someone as smart as him can just buy into that stuff wholeheartedly. That didn't make any sense to me. But it was still cool to have like it'd be like seeing Dr. Erskine come back again as like a adversary to Captain America, and this guy who made these two larger than life heroes having to confront their mentors in a way, the guys who pretty much made them who they are internally. that something can, that part I thought was pretty dope. Like, racking the heroes having to wreck their brain and pulling their punches, against a person who helped create the hero. Uh, and Jensen's using the Dio armor, which, by the way, yeah, sure, Jensen's smart, but it's usually in like the medical side of things. Typically, sure, he knows his way around a few scientific stuff, but like you able to operate a full suit of advanced Iron Man armor as good as Tony does, even though Tony had to like did all he said was a test and trial and error in order to be able to operate these things correctly. You just be able to do it just he's smart, so you can just do it. You still need to figure things out and test it before operating to the same. It'll probably take a while before you can operate a suit of armor the same level as Tony did, who had 5 years ahead of a head start on you. So that part didn't make any sense to me technically. But the Zodiac people, there seems to be like a biome merge kind of situation with organic with cybernetics kind of situation, because usually, like in one moment, there's a race car driver who Jensen recruited, who became vengeful because he lost his legs in an accident and he wants to be on the field. He becomes Taurus and gets like sucked into he's already inside like the bull mech thing, but somehow the tech wraps around him and forces a merge inside the suit, and it's like that for most of the or at least apparent from that episode. It made it apparent that there's a good chance that they all are like that. Uh, uh, but there's this like one episode where this little girl, which is kind of like trying to, who was like, at the title expressed, like the daughter of the Zodiac. There's like some orphan who has some telekinetic ability, which you can classify her being like a mutant, I guess. But upon this adventure, by the end of the episode, it doesn't appear like she has it anymore. So it might just been some kind of outside effect. I'm not sure. It doesn't. They kind of explain away like she doesn't have those powers anymore because her mind completely wiped from the events. But it doesn't really make any sense. I don't see the reason why you need to take that away. But you get, because when you first see her, like, she manifests these powers on a plane while it was being hijacked by terrorists, and the whole entire plane went down when her powers manifested. Crashed the plane. Her parents died as a result. So you will be led to believe she had manifested mutant abilities. However, by the end of it, she doesn't have any anymore. At least that's what we led to believe. That part didn't make any sense to me. But she's supposed to be merged with the robotic mech of Virgo. But there was, aside from all of that, the best part is when like she's hanging out with Tony, and she escaped from the Zodiac facility, which don't know why she doesn't at least give him some kind of clues to where that facility is, and you don't expect her to know the exact address, but give like a general idea where it could be. Don't know why I never did that, but she's hanging out with Tony, uh, you know, causing like a mess in his house, messing around with his suit, and like Dr. Tanaka, who obviously has like feelings for Tony, and she opens the door like, "Hi, I'm Tony's daughter." It was, the whole entire sequence is funny as hell. It's just like the whole, I'm pretty sure in Endgame, if Tony was alive, I imagine when his daughter got a little older, she probably behaved similar to that. Like, you know, you know, uh, giving like attitude to any woman who's trying to get next to Tony, and just very territorial. So are you Tony's girlfriend? And well, like he already kind of talks with a couple of women. Who's that, Tony? And pretty much chasing off. That entire, he's kind of got the same attitude as Kevin McAllister from Home Alone. Just kind of that spunky attitude that's funny, but not played too much into it. I like that part. Uh, but obviously it doesn't last long. She, after the events of taking down Virgo and saving her, she lost her memory. She goes back to Orphanage to live like a normal life, uh, play with kids that she felt like she couldn't play with before because of her ability. Um, but then, like I said, you get like not all the Zodiac people like are just paint by numbers bad guys. Like the little girl, uh, what's an Aki. There's other characters like the race car driver who operated Taurus. There's some layers to them, like you feel for them. Also, it's another guy uh, who operated Pisces, which is more so a computer virus in the shape of like a fish. And he probably got the closest to taking down Iron Man by hacking into the laboratory system and causing everything to go haywire. And so Tony decides, okay, to stop all this, I have to, and keep them from going inside and hacking into the arc reactor. I'm going to divert the virus to my chess piece and try to take them down from the inside. And this guy who lived his life, if you've seen like the movie Unbreakable with like Sam Jackson's character, you know, he doesn't have like brittle bones, but he just has like a sickness, kind of like a bubble boy situation without the bubble. He constantly has to be inside, and he pretty much lived with his mom for the most of his life until she got sick and passed away. So he lived his life behind the computer and watched, you know, life goes by on the out, you know, inside on out through the window. And he was approached by Yinsen and recruited to take down bad guys like Tony Stark until uh, he realized that this is not what his mom would have wanted, and he was misled, and he short-circuited the entire thing to stop that virus, which ultimately ended up killing him in the process for some reason. I guess feedback. I guess uh, it's a little more of a sadder note, but not one of my favorite episodes. Uh, uh, you always get introduced to this like part that's like a big police force of uh, uh, of Japan named Sakurai, who is kind of like one of those no nonsense kind of cops, and uh, him and a lot of people were trying to teach Tony about like the Japanese way of doing things because there's a culture shock. It's like there's some things that you can't do in Japan, or at least it's frowned upon in Japan that would play here in the U.S. Like from a friend of mine who spent time in Japan, uh, pointed out that like you can't go and like do like pointing, like you try to do finger guns or whatever like that. That is obviously frowned upon. You cannot do that because that's like you know, it's a bad look. I don't know. It's just like very, you know, like a form of accusations or whatever. That's not what they do there. Uh, uh, like kind of like in from what I heard and from like Paris, France, if you do something like bumping into somebody or something akin to that, you gotta apologize immediately. Otherwise, it'll be seen like, like yeah, it looked like it would be done on purpose. Not that too dissimilar here in the States, but it'll be rude if you don't say anything, but it won't be like a whole thing out of it. While in Japan or in someone like France, from what I've heard, like you got to like immediately like correct yourself and like apologize vehemently, that kind of thing. There's certain culture things that you gotta like. If you're one day, I want to visit Japan for a few days. I want to brush up on certain things like the rules and culture norms, so that way I won't make some kind of stupid mistakes while I'm there, because they got rules. You gotta follow their set of ways. Of course, Tony plays to the beat of his own drum, but I like where he, like in this moment when Sakurai is trying to teach him how to like hold back, be patient until and let your opponent make the super move first. And of course, Tony, right in that same moment, teaches him that we played the same kind of strengths. Ours may be a little more crude, but it's just as effective. Uh, uh, and Sakurai points out, like, well, that's called cheating. And I like that moment where like you learn a little bit from each other. But overall, the overall big bad, like I said, is like the government official who Sakurai works for, uh, 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 Kuroda. I think it's Senator Kuroda, who uh, who was in charge of Zodiac. And I'm so glad because typically nowadays people just probably use someone like AIM or Hydra, which they've been done to death. There's plenty of evil organizations in Marvel comics that they can utilize, and like with um, Guardians of the Galaxy, bring them from C and B tier or D tier and bring them to like A tier. If you give them a good writer a moment to like give them some agency. Uh, Kuroda is seated throughout the season, like why Kuroda is doing this, because he has this like old way of thinking. Because I guess, as it pointed out about the atomic bomb and what happened to Japan or Hiroshima, it's like I guess he would be old enough to remember that, and so he's one of those that haven't let that go, and decides Japan needs to remember his roots. I'm going to lay waste to it and bring it back up. And he has his own little, just like Sakurai had his own little mech armor that he had to get authority from the Japanese government to use, though. But Kuroda has like a bigger suit from that design, and decides to use the arc reactor as like a giant bomb to cause devastation to Japan. Even recruiting Jensen as and like the other members of the Zodiac as his henchmen to like cause this kind of devastation, or make it seem like there's like a separate terrorist organization and Tony is a part of it, causing discord and chaos. And he even brainwashed somehow Dr. Tanaka, because she's Gemini, and she was the one who hacked into the system without her own knowledge and let out Dio for Jensen to utilize later. And she ends up wounding herself, or at first after a battle with Tony, but before she ends up dying from those wounds, she uploaded her brain into the system to prevent damage to the arc reactor, because she wants to still achieve the same goal that Tony does to help Japan. But in the process, she will end up killing herself. And there's no thing like AI Skynet thing with her brain. Like you can still talk with her inside the computer. No, she's completely gone. But it, you know, thanks to Sakurai, who died, in a battle with Senator Kuroda. Uh, Pretty sure it's like uh, yeah, he died from his wounds with Senator Kuroda, but not before relating his treachery to everyone. So Tony beats Kuroda near Kyoto and lets off this massive unibeam, obliterating Kuroda in the process. So that part was really dope. It's a lot of dope animation styles here. Uh, uh, in the end, like, the Arc Station is pumping renewable energy for Japan, while Tony is seen going back to America after this entire ordeal. It's still good. Overall, I still enjoy it. Great writing. I like the characters involved. It's just certain things was like, I don't get Jensen's so quick to turncoat and go against everything he believed in after he's, given this little soapbox to Tony in the cave. Uh, uh, yeah, there's certain decisions where like people so quick to like, well, I say like so quick to judge Tony, but given how things are, today's age with like fake news and blah blah blah, it's hard to tell like, whether or not they just rightly believe him immediate or believe Kuroda when they say like, oh, he's like part of Zodiac, or well, one of the henchmen of Zodiac, made this big announcement, release our uh, leader Tony Stark and blah blah blah, and they sold it, and it's hard to not like say like, oh, that's let's take them at their word for it. They're terrorists. Why would you not believe them when they say release our associate Tony Stark? Tony has been playing. It's been Iron Man for the past 5 years and been doing nothing but good. Why would you outright just buy into that without further digging into it, which Nanami does. And there was also an episode where Jensen tried to get Tony to like, because he doesn't believe Tony's changed his ways for some reason. He's just hard on like, you didn't change anything, blah blah blah. And so he kidnaps him and Tanaka and dumps them on this island, which Sakurai later rescues them on, and like puts in like an older model arc reactor similar to what he used when they was in a cave, which only gives Tony like 24 hours to agree to work for Zodiac and build weapons for them. Don't know what he hoped to accomplish with that. Like, even if he says yes, like, would you even like agree to like bring him on? Or like, it's kind of like similar to I think it's played better in the episode with in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters and Waking the Dragons arc, where Raphael firmly believes that Yamayugi is the Pharaoh is completely dark and he's trying to hide behind his good nature and the soapbox crap, but deep down he's just evil as the rest of the world. But in that episode, it's played better than here is, in my opinion, where it's like this island, just like in Iron Man 3, which I'll be reviewing in a few minutes. It's like no matter if he's out of the suit, he's still Iron Man. And Iron Man is here. It's not the suit. As in Homecoming, as Tony said, if you're nothing without the suit, then you don't deserve it. And like, he doesn't have superpowers, but his power is here. and like he utilized that skill to make a giant flare that Sakurai found to rescue him off the island. So I like that. I really, thought that was dope to see what Tony is outside of his suit, and he's still a superhero, and he's just using his ingenuity to get out these scrapes. Because you know, Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps. Like he can build anything with a box of scraps. Like it just it's a phenomenal character. But yeah, uh, check out Marvel's anime, uh, Iron Man, Blade, X-Men, Wolverine. From what my recollection from seeing those, because it was airing on Toonami, as I recall, back in the day. So, uh, you'll find it on Amazon Prime. You can't find it anywhere else. So, $20 worth, you can get the entire season. Uh, of each one should be like $20, so you can watch an entire season of each one of them, and you probably get something out of it. It's pretty good, animation design, and the writing is pretty dope too, as I recall. I'll eventually get into these, each one of these, eventually. Uh, when I start reviewing like the Blade films, don't know about the third one. I will do a review for the because they did a live action TV show for Blade, as well as like down the line a couple years later this anime of Blade, which I will do reviews for both, along with the first two Blade films, because I don't think I can stomach the third Blade film. But anyway, uh, don't forget to do me a huge favor. Hit the notification bell, hit the like button, share, subscribe, all that stuff. It'll help me out a lot. If you love this content and other content I have on the channel, uh, uh, yeah, please check all those out and let your friends know if they have any interest in anything that I'm covering that you think they might like. Give me a nice little shout out, and I'll see you guys in like at least 5 minutes while I do a final review for today of Iron Man 3. And then by next week, I'll wrap up this Iron Man coverage with the animated movie Technovore, as well as another Iron Man comic event. So look forward to that. And I will see you guys